Delirium is a final boss that was added in the Afterbirth Plus DLC, is considered to be one, if not the hardest fight in the game, and can be found on the mysterious void floor where he is hiding behind one of the many boss doors you can find there. To unlock the void you have to beat Hush once, and after that is done you will start to find the void portals after specific boss fights that will bring you to the void. The chance of a portal appearing is based on the boss you fought, and as you can see, beating Hush will always give you access to a portal. The room containing it is in the top right of the boss room, but note that if this is your first time beating him, you might have to leave and re-enter to make the room appear, because the Hush fight is only available if you beat it lives within 30 minutes, or by having an alternative way to open the entrance, like Mama Mega. You might want to consider the Mega Satan path after unlocking the void. Mega Satan has a 50% chance to spawn a portal, but if you add the chance for the bosses before, including Blue Baby or the Lamp, you end up with an almost 70% chance to get at least one portal. Once you have entered the void, you will notice that it is a very large floor filled with a random mix of almost every room and enemy that you can find in this game. Monsters and bosses will deal at least one full heart of damage, and the chance for them to be a champion version is increased. So in case you want to see one of the fabled rainbow champions, this is the place to go. And now, before we jump into the Delirium boss fight, I will explain to you one of the most important strategies in the game if you want to beat this very difficult boss, and it is about avoiding Delirium as long as possible. As already mentioned, there are many bosses on this floor, and every boss will drop an item from a random pool. This also includes Devil and Angel Deal items. If you want to avoid the Delirium fight, you have a small variety of tools to choose from. The most reliable way is to use a teleportation method of your choice, like the Fool's Card for example. Just enter every boss room, and if it is Delirium, teleport out of it and remember his location. Very similar to this just mentioned method is the use of any item, trinket or card that can open boss room doors, like the door stop for example. If you have the Star of Bethlehem, you can follow it until it enters a boss room. The room will be Delirium's location. And in the case you don't have any of these tools, you can do the following. Every boss room is shown as a 1x1, but in reality the Delirium boss room is always a 2x2 room, and the game generates the floor accordingly and makes sure that every generation rule is followed. This means that if you imagine the boss rooms as possible 2x2 rooms, and you see that this 2x2 room would have 2 or more separate entrances, it can't be Delirium. In a similar way, you can check if a 2x2 room would go over the map border, as rooms can only generate on a 13x13 grid. By using this strategy, you will be able to beat more bosses and get more items that can be crucial in the Delirium fight. Just keep in mind that the boss rooms can contain bosses like Isaac, Satan, Blue Baby or the Lamp as well. Alright, now that we are done with this part, we will take a look at the actual boss fight. Delirium starts the fight in his base form and will change between all the bosses you have encountered on your way to him. He can shoot differently moving projectile rings that can expand and occasionally include a ring of green exploding balls. The general strategy here is to stand as far away as possible from him so that the space to dodge in between the ring gets bigger, and you also want to stand a good distance away from the green exploding Ipecac balls. Sometimes Delirium will teleport as well. This can be very tricky to avoid if it teleports close or on top of you, and is sometimes straight up impossible to avoid. Move as much as possible as you can around the room to increase the chance that he doesn't telefrag you to death. Also make sure that you don't move away too far away from him, so that you can always see what he transforms into and then act accordingly. You basically want to know how to fight every boss in the game by this point, but for obvious reasons I will not go over this in this video, but we will cover the most important ones. Mom's foot can only be recognized by a scream, so you have to pay close attention to this indicator. As soon as you hear this, start to run a big circle to avoid the stomp. You want to move pretty much the full fight anyway, because there are many stomp or jump attacks like this. Mama Gertie will cover most of the top wall and glitches over the screen before she gets there. Try to get some distance from the top wall and take care of the spike attack. Flight makes this a lot easier. Mom's Heart or It Lives can be dangerous when Delirium is close to full HP, as he will spawn the laser eyes next to him and at the top of the room. Kill them as fast as you can and make sure you don't get sniped off screen. Mega Satan can spawn some of the 4 horsemen as extra bosses into the fight. They will not disappear over time and should be killed as fast as possible. The lamp will drop its body at some point and it will linger around until defeated. Damaging it counts as damage to Delirium and is a great way to deal almost free extra damage. You also want to keep in mind that Delirium has the ability to transform in the same boss twice at the same time, and sometimes even into different bosses. This can be very dangerous, so consider prioritizing dodging over dealing damage in this moment. The next important step is to keep in mind that the lower Delirium's HP gets and the more damage you deal at once, the faster he gets. This can get very dangerous with dashes or stomp attacks. If you feel like Delirium gets too fast, consider to stop attacking him and focus on dodging for a while instead. On the same note, keep in mind that Delirium utilizes special armor that goes up when he takes damage, but only while he is transformed. Whenever he goes back to his base form, his armor will become 0 again, and you should use this moment to deal as much damage as possible. And that covers most of the Delirium fight, but there are many more small things you can pay attention to on your run, so let's have a look at them. Before you go into the run, decide if your goal is the Mega Satan Void Portal or the Guaranteed Portal after Hush. If you go with Hush, consider resetting for a good start and try to play with good pacing. Maybe take a look at my Hush guide as well. If you go for Mega Satan, play slow and remember to get your key pieces. Key pieces are obtained by beating 2 angels, and angels appear by either bombing an angel statue or by sacrificing 9 or 11 hearts in the same sacrifice room. Given that you have infinite time now, you should be able to do this. As for the general choice between angel and devil deals, I recommend as always the angel room, as it contains many very helpful defensive items that are very much needed in the Delirium and Hush fight, but also some game-breaking damage items like Trisation. One more thing you should keep in mind is that if you go for angel deals and don't get to Hush in time, you can continue your run to the chest or dark floor and try to get a portal from the Mega Satan fight. Once you are in the void, remember to avoid Delirium as long as possible for extra items and hearts. If you find a way to heal yourself or any extra soul hearts, don't pick them up until you get into the Delirium fight or you really need them. Never use random pills in the void. If you get amnesia, you just hit yourself really hard in the face, and avoiding Delirium or finding him gets really annoying. If you find helpful consumables like the Magician, an Algiers rune or useful active items, consider carrying them into the Delirium fight. Sometimes a simple boost is the missing piece to beat him. Some of my personal favorites are the Magician, because you no longer have to aim at him, anti-shield generation to make this fight as safe as possible, like the Algiers rune, full heals or anything like it, for example the Sun Cords to have more hits, Mega Mush to just stomp him, and Animus Solar to hold him in his base form for free extra damage. This is also the key to beat him as Tainted Jacob in his lost form. Also keep in mind the Chaos card doesn't work on Delirium, so don't get your hopes up if you find it, but you can use it on the second Hush phase if you want to skip that. And Plan C does kill Delirium, but requires somewhat complicated means to be used, like a in-room revive or specific pausing of the game. Finally, look out for some random cards appearing in the room. Every Delirium fight has some random skulls or pots around the walls that will eventually get destroyed by the Ipecac Ball. If you get a little bit lucky, they might even drop the one card you need to win the fight. And that's pretty much it, and leaves me with only one more thing left to say. My name is Bambochutafreak, this was the Delirium guide in less than 10 minutes, and until next time.